Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leanna. Today I'm going to be talking about veganism. So if you recall, prior to the new year, I did a video on cruelty-free beauty, and that was a pretty in-depth video. I didn't get around to talking about veganism, though I wanted to, so I've actually been working on this video ever since then, gathering all of the research data that I needed in order to prepare this video. So it's been quite a few months in the making. And veganism is similar to some of the aspects I talked about in that video of cruelty-free beauty, which I'm going to link down below, in that it is a privilege. It's not necessarily accessible to every single person. It's not necessarily affordable for every single person. And a lot of people shame you if you're, say, at this level of veganism and not this level of veganism. So we're going to be talking about some of this, but I wanted to talk about one aspect of veganism in particular, which is labeled as white veganism. And this is this links up to white supremacist ideology. So this is going to be the main focus of our video that I'm going to be touching on little bit by little bit throughout the video. Before we get into different ways that this is linked to white supremacy, going to talk about what veganism is. And most of you probably know, most if not all of you know, but veganism is a lifestyle in which the person does not consume meat, dairy, eggs, honey, any sort of animal or animal byproducts. And a lot of times this does carry over into other aspects of the person's life. So hair products, skincare products, makeup, clothing, shoes, nothing to do with animals. So if you were to, say, take a skincare product, does not contain lanolin, for example, comes from sheep, I believe. No lip care products with beeswax, no clothing that has wool, anything like that. So I think we're pretty clear on that. So first and foremost, one of the big things I've noticed is veganism is touted as a tool in the health and wellness and body positivity spaces on social media. So it's sort of used as a diet to promote weight loss, instead of what veganism is supposed to be about, which is a lifestyle that promotes sustainability and equal treatment for all living beings. So a lot of these accounts will then start talking about how everybody should and can go vegan for, like I said, weight loss, which is linked to diet culture, which is very toxic. And of course, while veganism is definitely, it can be very healthy if you do it properly. And it can no doubt make a person lose weight. I've definitely seen that happen. That's not the point. So the issue of diet culture and much of the body positivity sphere online is intrinsically linked to colonist beauty standards, European standards. So anybody who runs an account proclaiming that you can and should go vegan whilst policing somebody's body and disregarding the fact that not everybody has gone vegan. Some people have been vegan since birth, and disregards people who are vegan and who are not thin white women. So this then becomes an issue of fat phobia and racism all at once. Because we have two different issues here. We have an issue of body positive accounts being run by thin white women. When body positivity is not supposed to be about loving your thinness. It's supposed to be about all body shapes, and not just body shapes, different disabilities. And then you have the issue of crossing over into the vegan sphere Vegans come in all races, all ethnicities, and all sizes, but it's being headed up by thin white women. So why is it that veganism has become so whitewashed? That's the question that we're trying to get to today. So getting back to the people who proclaim that everybody can and should go vegan, this becomes another really huge problem. It's a pretty big statement to make that becomes quite classist, ableist, and racist all at once, and I'll explain why. The expense of veganism is not something that everybody can manage. People on a lower income are going to buy the food that they can afford and can get locally. And they should be allowed to do this without being shamed. And that's the thing. A lot of people I see online, they're like, if you're not vegan, you should be ashamed of yourself. They post all of these different vegan memes that somehow compare bodies, human bodies to animal bodies, and torture, and then say, this is what's happening and you're terrible for not stopping it. And there is another sphere in the veganism world that says that veganism is expensive is a myth. That comes with a lot of privilege to say that. Comes with a lot of class, racial, and geographic privilege. There are things called food deserts. And what a food desert basically is, it has to do with your availability to the grocery stores in your area. You chances are going to have to drive a long way. If you don't have a car, you're going to have to take the bus. Chances are you're in a low-income area. Low-income areas don't have a lot of grocery stores. Lower income areas, if you're taking the bus, that's going to add on to your bill every single month. And the grocery stores in low income areas, they do not offer vegan food. And the food that they offer there is already higher in price. You can see where this becomes a huge problem. You're going to buy whatever is easiest for you. The cheaper foods are not vegan. They're not. And who is disproportionately affected by low income? People of color, Black people. So taking public transportation, that's an expense in and of itself. Having to purchase the vegan food, that's very expensive. I can tell you as somebody who's already gluten-free and dairy-free, the alternative options are not cheap. So what happens? Fresh fruits and vegetables, maybe you could go canned, you're saying. Well, that's a possibility. Even that is more expensive than a lot of the other options in store. So the price is going to depend if it's fresh or if it's canned. But either way, it's going to be more costly than if you went for something such as, I don't know, let's say a bag of chips. And then you have to ask yourself, is that fruit coming locally or is it being imported? That's going to affect the cost too. We'll get to imports in a little bit. Maybe you're unable to get to a grocery store on a regular basis because you are disabled. Then you're just further shaming disabled people for their consumption of a carnivorous diet. Maybe the people you're shaming are disabled and have been put on a carnivorous diet by their healthcare practitioner. Many people are unable to go on a vegan diet for health reasons. So to then shame these people is pretty damn disgusting, wouldn't you say? This is a huge thing about white veganism. It values animal lives above human lives. And veganism is not about valuing animal life above human life. It is about valuing all life equally. So this defeats the purpose. If you believe in cruelty against humans, you're not a vegan. But white veganism, not all veganism, white veganism supports the anti-vaccination movement, which is something that directly goes against the veganism movement, which is to support all life. Anti-vaccination harms humans. If we are going to talk about Kat Von D vaccinates her animals. She won't vaccinate her humans. That makes no sense. In the quest for animal rights activism, Black lives are degraded on a regular basis by comparing chattel slavery to what happens to animals in animal cruelty. There is no comparison. What happens to humans, what happened to Black people in slavery is not the same. And this is done often with very graphic imagery, with very graphic descriptions. And to then further degrade Black people by saying that all lives matter. And these are the same people who would attack Indigenous, Hawaiian, halal, and kosher individuals for eating meat and have spiritual ties to animals. Did you see somebody eating meat and start attacking them? Even though their cultural and religious reasons for eating animals are valid and sacred, and the way that they hunt the animals is far less dangerous to our ecosystem than, say, monocropping. These are the same people who would try to convince you of that a vegan diet is so much more ethical and sustainable than a carnivorous diet, but again, they have so little care for their fellow humans, and Black lives especially, that they haven't done their research on how the communities that they're getting their crops from are affected by white vegan demands for plant-based foods. Avocado farmers in Kenya were banned from exporting their goods because the supply was so low that they could not keep up with supplying avocados for themselves, and the prices were so high that they could not afford them there. That's messed up. We did that. And this is something that's happening all around the world. You can look it up. I have all of my resources down below. But they either don't have enough to continue feeding themselves, or the prices just become too high that the locals can't afford to keep buying them for themselves. Which again, Mexico, another source of avocados, they usually export avocados for profit. They've strongly been considering importing avocados from other countries. That's how bad their supply has been. We did that. And they no longer have enough to go around. The daily price per kilo is around as high as the minimum wage. We did that. Because the thing is, we're too obsessed with veganism as a commodity and a political movement for reasons other than what it's actually supposed to be. For reasons other than positive and equal treatment for living beings. That means humans too. That doesn't just mean animals. And we aren't asking enough questions. Like, where is our food coming from? Who is this affecting when I buy and import? Do they have enough to continue feeding themselves? If everyone went vegan, who would it hurt? Because I guarantee you, if every single human decided to go vegan right now, our Earth would die. If veganism is for everyone, why am I not seeing more than able-bodied, thin white women at the forefront? If veganism cares about animal lives, why doesn't it care about human lives? And why get mad and shame somebody for eating differently than you? The point being that this type of veganism, specifically white veganism, needs to be reframed. Veganism at its source is not a bad thing, far from it. White veganism has been framed in such a way that it is not a lifestyle that's trying to make change. It has been politicized into a movement. And whenever this happens, people get left out. So now we have this politicized movement. It has been overrun by able-bodied, cis-het, thin, upper middle class white women. How do we change that? Because right now, all that's doing is further promoting inequity and gaps in systemic structures. When the lens narrows so much, what are you actually fighting for? And who is being left out? This is the problem. These are a lot of questions. I've had a lot of trouble getting my thoughts together during this video, even though I had notes in front of me. I just feel like there's so much going on here. There's so much to talk about. And it is a very complicated subject, which is why I've had to research so much. And I feel like I've touched on a lot of different things, kind of at a distance, like diet culture and stuff. I haven't really gone into that fully and deeply. I can't in one video, but it's there and I've kind of mentioned it. So I can't address everything in one video, but I'm hoping that I've left you with enough information as well as what I'm putting down below that you will kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about. And one person in particular that talks about white veganism a lot is Sassy Latte on Instagram. I've been following them for a while and they've brought it up a few times. Particularly one thing I learned from them was about the food deserts. I knew that low income definitely had an effect on whether or not you could afford veganism, but I didn't realize food deserts, I didn't realize there was a name for what it was called. Food deserts and your accessibility to grocery stores and the types of foods that are in these areas. So overall, just definitely a lot to think about and really not cool to put out all these really horrible memes that degrade Black bodies and female bodies in regards to animals. So let me know your thoughts down below. I've been rambling for a really long time now and I need to stop. So I post Mondays and Fridays in the afternoons Eastern time. I hope you'll join me for my next video. Bye everyone.